If you ask people about 2005's Flightplan, they'll probably remember it fondly. It looked slick, it was well produced, and it starred Jodie Foster. What's not to like? Well, if you've seen it recently, a lot of things. The central conceit is fairly dumb, the supporting performances are terrible, and the movie is riddled with logic problems and missed opportunities. So to turn Flightplan back into the good movie you remember, here are 5 easy fixes. Let's start at the beginning by actually losing the whole beginning. Since the main plot is that Jodie Foster's kid has gone missing from the plane and no one believes her, let's erase the kid altogether so we're not sure if we believe her either. So get rid of this. All that can go. Scrap all of that. And stop. Start the movie here. Kyle wakes, looks up to see the empty chair, and starts wandering the cabin looking for her kid. A kid we have no proof actually exists. Let the audience wonder if she has in fact lost her mind. Even though we see things from her point of view, we also now see her through the eyes of everyone else on the plane. It also helps with the logic problem. By us not seeing all the ways the kid could have been seen, we're more likely to believe it's possible that she wasn't. And it adds a whole extra layer of mystery to the story as we start to wonder if this kid even really exists. This has to be one of the most convoluted plans in movie history, even more so when you think what this must have looked like on paper. They need to get Jodie Foster and her daughter on a plane, so to do that, they kill her husband. This, apparently, will lead Jodie and her daughter to return to America to bury his body. Of all the planes and flights, she'll need to catch this exact plane and this exact flight since the bad air marshal will be on it. Then the bad guy will have to hope that no one in the airport or on the plane sees she's traveling with a kid. No one will turn around in their seat or walk past them on their way to the bathroom. Then, when she falls asleep, he'll kidnap the kid, again hoping no one notices. Jodie will wake up, find her kid missing, cause a scene, and the bad guys will convince her she's traveling alone and that her kid died with her husband, and all the passengers and the captain will be convinced that she's nuts. Then, out of nowhere, the bad air marshal will somehow convince the captain that now she's a terrorist who wants $50 million. They'll land, and the bad air marshal will... Actually, I'm not sure what his plan was at that point, since he needs to get off the plane, but somehow he'll convince Kyle to stay on the plane so he can blow it up, and she'll look like the terrorist he claimed she was. Even though the plane wreckage will eventually reveal her daughter was there the whole time, which will raise questions of the air marshal's claims and exactly what the hell kind of plan is this? There's about 800 ways this plan could have gone pear-shaped. The Christian Science Monitor criticized the script's, quote, plot holes the size of an Airbus. And when the Christians are telling you your story is too far-fetched, you have to wonder exactly how far you've wandered into Crazy Town. So let's just give the plan more logic. For starters, let's throw out the dead husband subplot. You arrange to get Kyle and her daughter on a plane, she falls asleep, you kidnap the kid, and the rest plays out until she goes crazy. Crazier even since now we're going to show her the coffin of her kid. Carson eventually has to restrain her and takes her to a special part of the plane away from the passengers. Now he tells her his plan. There's a safe or something like that built into the plane with lots of money or jewels or something in it, and given that she helped design the plane, she's going to help him break into it. After she does that, she has to show him how to jettison it all from the plane without alerting the captain. Then he kills her, claiming she attacked him, and he stuffs the money or jewels into the kid's coffin, where the kid has actually been this entire time, and he jettisons the kid off the plane. Look, I know it's not a great plan, but it's better. It explains why he picked her, because she designed the plane and knows the ins and outs. And it explains why he wants the kid, because he needs the coffin to smuggle out the jewelry. In this version, he can also neatly dispose of them both. It also sets up the cat and mouse game that the movie needs without the audience thinking the writers are just as crazy as the woman with the missing kid. The air marshal needs to go from suspicious ally to empathetic authority to murderous villain. And clearly, Peter Sarsgaard is not up for the job. More often than not, he looks like a bored camera operator who's accidentally wandered into the shot. And if you want your audience to be surprised when it turns out he's the bad guy, maybe cast someone who doesn't project it from the start. Sean Bean might have been a good choice, and he's not really doing much as the pilot, or maybe Liam Neeson. You need someone who can hold their own against an acting powerhouse like Jodie Foster, and also doesn't look like they're constantly unimpressed with the movie and everyone in it. With the exception of the obvious red herring in suspecting the Middle Eastern men on a plane in a post 9/11 world, the movie could really do with creating a few suspects. With zero focus on anyone but the air marshal, the movie telegraphs Carson as the villain, and it's hardly surprising when it turns out we were right. So create a few more suspects. Matt Bomer is in the movie for 12 seconds, and he always looks a little dodgy. Greta Scacchi plays a therapist who could have been played to be more sinister seeming. Even a cutaway of the pilot could have aroused the audience's suspicion. There's dozens of possibilities, so maybe point to more than the one it turns out to be. Flightplan makes a critical error in its final act by landing the plane. And compounding that error, it also allows everyone to get off. For reasons surpassing understanding, for the big finale, the movie actually lowers the stakes. The film's speed would have been a whole lot less interesting if it was just Keanu Reeves parked at the bus depot. Flightplan suffers that fate by removing the peril of the drama unfolding while the plane's midair with innocent passengers on board. If the movie played out with the explosion at the front of the plane while in flight, you could build the third act by Kyle having to convince the pilot that she's not crazy, and as the woman who helped design the plane, help them safely land it. It would ratchet up the tension and ultimately deliver a more thrilling ride.